Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy AJ. I'm here with Rage. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any breaking Nets news. Also, check us out on netskingdom.net. Articles will be dropping soon. So, we're here to talk about CJ Cam Johnson, aka Scam Johnson. Scam Johnson. Nets fans have it's a very, very spicy topic with Cam. I mean, I feel like how do you feel like before we get into the video, bro? How do you feel like Nets fans generally feel about Cam? Like, is it extreme hatred or is it like not? How do you feel? How do you think Nets fans feel about Cam right now? Scam.
Well, I'm sure anyone really who was watching
Mm,
the games pretty frequently
mm.
probably doesn't have the greatest impression on Cam Johnson. I don't think he's necessarily hated as much as Ben Simmons,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah. The
Cam
level of hate is
Johnson
like number two, right? Actually, I think it's
it's
Ben. Maybe McHale might be two, and then CJ might be three, and then Clax. I think.
yeah, that makes sense. But
Yeah,
for Cam Johnson, it's like after this past year, it's just
yeah,
watching the season, it's just he had good, he shot well from three, but it's
yeah.
the points dropped and the defense was non-existent.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Let me let's know in the comments who's the most hated Nets players. Let us know your rankings. But let me read the article. It says here, Johnson will no doubt be one of the new coach's biggest challenge, getting him back to where he was the February 2023 trade when he averaged 16 points over the final 25 games of the regular season, then 18 and a half in the first round loss to the 76ers. That performance won the 6'8 wing a guaranteed $94.5 million deal over 4 years. So this performance, we all know this was CJ's highlights right here when he went into his bag versus Sixers. The Nets saw this and gave him the bag after this. I mean, he did look great in this series, and I think they also paid him because they know he's Mikhail's bestie. So he has to stay on the team because he's Mikhail's bestie. But the team were happy enough, and CJ will be earning nearly 25 million last season. Oh, here 25 million last season, then he'll drop. It will drop to 22.5 million next season, then drop again to 20.5 million in 2025, 2026. So the Nets did finesse in their contract deals. They paid him in that back, like the money decreases in the back end of the contract. So they give him the full in the beginning, but it gets lower and lower every season. Now we'll start with the stay put route, right? If Sean Marks doesn't do anything and CJ is back again, Scam is back again, there's a dilemma. Is Scam Johnson a starter with this amount of money? He's gonna get paid 22.5 million. Rage. Is this man a starting power forward on this team? What do you think, bro?
For me, it's kind of like a hard pass, but just with
Mm,
the money and everything, it's almost like a Joe Harris situation because it's
yeah,
now we've been able to see his problems with scoring the ball is that he's not. It's the creating part is kind of non-existent. It's just really standstill stuff. Hence
yeah,
why the 3-point shot was kind of good. It's not he's always been solid from three, but the reason why it made sense why it was good this year was because he was taking a lot of standstill shots, and that's where where he was getting the majority of his
yeah,
points
yeah,
from the 3-point line. And the thing is that if you're going into this next year and you just look at the overall team and you're you have Ben Simmons, you have Dennis Schroeder, you have Mikal Bridges, you have Nick Claxton, and you have Noah Clowney.
yeah. And
Right?
Cam Thomas. Mm,
You have all that guy, yeah, and you have Cam Thomas,
mm,
obviously. So you have all those guys. Is Cam Johnson gonna start? I mean, he might, but off this past season, I mean, if you have high visions for Noah Clowney and you see and you bring back Claxton, which what we think is gonna happen,
yeah.
is there even a place for him? I don't. It's a hard question, but
Yeah. I
realistically,
think
if he's playing at the same level, I don't think so. I
yeah,
don't. But
I agree
if
with
we
you because
have, if Cam Johnson is just, if we think we can, instill the confidence just and be able to, just develop just more of a offensive, just more of a shot, like a mid range, or just doing more a little bit,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
then defensively, of course, hopefully just not being a cone.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. Yeah, and my issue is like I said, if we do stay put, I would want Ben at the one, Cam Thomas at the two, Mikhail at the three. Noah at the 4, and Clax at the 5. And the reason I put Noah, I want to see how training camp goes because it probably will determine if CJ or DFS gets into that starting 4 position. But the reason I don't want CJ there because he does not rebound at all, and Noah does. Noah provides rebounding, he provides rim protection, and he would provide a decent 3-point shot. It's not CJ's level. Well, Cam shot really bad. It's probably one of his worst years anyway, but it's not a 3-point shot that it's like, oh my God, CJ has to stay in the lineup because he's such a great shooter. It's not that. And we saw at the end of this year that CJ got benched at the end of the year. He wasn't even starting at the end of the year. So I'd rather have Noah in Class because that duo at the 4 and 5 is just it looked really, really good at the end of the year. I know it wasn't the best teams we were playing, but I'd rather CJ come off the bench because of that, because the rebound will suffer with CJ in. The defense, like you said, he'll be a cone. And then if he's not giving you a standstill shot, if he's not giving you a shooting touch off the 3, what is he gonna do? What is he good for? What's the point of starting him? You know what I'm saying? Because like, what's the point of starting this man if he's not shooting well? He's not going to give you anything else. Noah will give us a little bit. Even DFS, DFS will give you something more than just if he's not shooting well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but we'll go into the next phase. Like, all right, so let's say the Nets star hunt, right? And CJ is in the package. Well, we know CJ is going to be in a package, a trade package. What do you think Cam Johnson's value is? Like, do you think he's worth? Well, let's say this. Do you think like he's going to be in a situation where we have to put him is he like him and Cam Thomas the main trade pieces of our team? Do you think other teams are valuing Cam Johnson like that? Like the Cavs would value Cam Johnson for Donovan, or the Hawks would value Cam Johnson in the trade for Trey. Like, do you think teams really value this man?
I feel like, there's a lot of players that will have down years that, are good players. They just have
Yeah.
down years. There's probably quite a bit of teams that will end up, that will probably have that mindset,
Yeah.
along with him just having a larger contract and it making sense why, like, if you go for a star, why he'd be involved in a trade just because of how much money he's making.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but I think overall, like, although he had, a down year, there's gonna be teams that it's like, he's 6'8" with a relatively good frame.
Yeah.
He's been in the league. He just had a down year on a team with who's had, they literally had 2 coaches that aren't even coaching the team anymore. So it's like Cam Johnson also has another year and
Yeah.
another situation where you're like, okay, it's just another reset, which is why, like, if we go the stay put route, it'd be like, okay, it's a matter of is he gonna like where is he gonna be at? And
Yeah.
if you end up trading him,
Yeah. And I think like with CJ, right? Because I think he's worth his general worth around the league is probably like a late first. Just because of his contract, his age, like he's like if you put him in another situation, because I'll give Scam Johnson some bail here, right? We didn't do the best at running plays for him. Like even when Joe Harris was here, like when guys come off screens and guys come off pin downs, we didn't do that for CJ. We didn't have no set plays for CJ. It was basically just drive, do some random stuff, and see if CJ's open. If he's open in the corner, shoot it. Like we didn't really do a lot of offense around CJ. So if you put CJ in a great system, a great coach, maybe a great a contending team or a team that's on the brink of win now, his he might look a lot better than he does now. So that's why I think his value is like to Nets fans, his value looks trash to us because of how he's playing and his contract. But maybe to other teams, they're like, he's 28, he's 6'8, he could shoot. Like we could use him if we can put him in a different situation. Like we've seen with the Mavs, Derrick Jones Jr. He didn't look like this when in certain situations. You know what I'm saying? PJ when he was on the Hornets. PJ didn't look this good, you know? So we'll
yeah.
see if we'll see if CJ what the Nets do with CJ in the trade market. Do we have one more? I think we have one more point. Or that was it.
Is
Mhm.
Cam Johnson overpaid?
Oh,
Well, you can
yeah.
kind of go based off of the Scam Johnson that, yeah, Definitely. Obviously, going into the season, it didn't look like it honestly looked like a relatively solid contract,
Yeah,
but now it's like if you're gonna continue to just get three-pointer if you're just gonna just shoot three-pointers and
yeah,
do essentially nothing else, then, you're not gonna be worth that type of money, and that's not a starter in this, in
yeah,
this league. We've seen it. Like, it's
yeah.
literally just a taller Joe Harris we're looking at here, so
Yeah, that was a great point because I think the contract is not it's that's a good question. Let us know in the comments if he's overpaid because his money does decrease. Like I said before, he's getting every year it gets 20. He's 22 and a half next year, 20 and a half the last next year at the after that. So his contract is getting lower, but if you're a contending team, I don't think you could really afford him. If you're a team that's like over the luxury tax or you're over the aprons, you probably cannot afford that CJ track. But if you're like a team, like a young team, maybe like the Cavs, Rockets, teams that have somewhat of a cap space, then I think it's like, all right, you can be able to slide him in there.
a
But
Magic.
to yeah, the Magic, like teams like that, it makes maybe you could pay him that much. But I think across the league, I think this contract, I think he's a little slightly overpaid. I think he's slightly over. In my opinion, I think he should be like 16, 17-ish, 16, like 16 mil, 17 million a year. Am I bugging? That's not, I'm not bugging.
Nah, just based off the 13.4 we were getting,
Yeah.
4.8 just kind
I
of
don't think
based
he's
off just
20
what
mil
he was giving
plus.
us,
I'm sorry.
especially
Um,
if he's, just not even starting. There's so many, there's gonna be players that are, obviously paid quite a bit that come off the bench, and I guess, we'll see.
yeah.
But, if our plan is to actually be, just like a contending team, obviously it'd be nice to have him,
Yeah.
but, like, still he's probably gonna be gone even if we wanna contend, because he's just
Yeah.
gonna be a part of he's just what we have right now, he just makes he's probably number 1 in terms well, Cam Thomas is probably the, team that might be the player that teams, want just because that's the type of player he is, but Cam Johnson just makes sense financially, and he's not necessarily like, his contract's just getting lower, teams will bet on him for sure.
Yeah, that's a great point. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Nets Kingdom One, our Twitters, Nets Rage, Nets Kingdom AJ. Again, netskingdom.net. Shout out to Cypher. He's dropping some articles soon. It's gonna get spicy. We're getting closer to the draft. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button for us. We'll be back.